Chauvin's conviction for second-degree unintentional murder, second-degree manslaughter, and third-degree murder could land him up to 40 years in prison. Jamie Yuccas is here in Minneapolis. As you know, she's been covering this trial from day one. May I say, doing an outstanding job. Jamie joins us once again. You know, you would think we had an orange memo. We did not.
We didn't. But just showed up like this.
Instead of fashion, let's talk about the verdict, because, Jamie, it came back so quickly.
I know. It seemed like the jury was on a mission, didn't it?
Yes,
at this
very
point?
much so.
So based on the information that we had from what we expected from court schedules, it appears that they worked in really an extra hour on Monday, and then they came in early yesterday. They also asked no questions, just got right down to business.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty.
After only about 10 hours of deliberation, the jury found Derek Chauvin guilty of all charges in the killing of George Floyd. The ex-police officer showed no emotion, even as he was handcuffed and led out of the courtroom and taken into custody. Meanwhile, cheers erupted from the Floyd family as the verdict was read. The excitement turned into tears as the relief sank in.
I said I have faith that he will be convicted. It's been a long journey.
George Floyd's brother, Philonis, gave emotional testimony during the trial. He says this is only the beginning of the fight for justice for his family and other Black Americans who don't see a guilty verdict.
I'm going to put up a fight every day, because I'm not just fighting for George anymore. I'm fighting for everybody around this world.
And justice to the Floyds means change, change that only comes from the very top.
I think if John is coming, my dad is going to change the world. He's going to start to change it now.
President Biden called Floyd's family after the verdict was read and later addressed the nation with Vice President Harris. They advocated for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which would ban chokeholds and qualified immunity for officers.
The president and I will continue to urge the Senate to pass this legislation, not as a panacea for every problem, but as a start. This work is long overdue.
Nothing can ever bring their brother, their father back. But this can be a giant step forward in the march toward justice in America.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison says the victory his prosecutors secured is only a ripple in what needs to be a tidal wave of change.
I would not call today's verdict justice, however, because justice implies true restoration. But it is accountability, which is the first step towards justice.
We have to march. We will have to do this for life. We have to protest, because it seems like this is a never-ending cycle.
Chauvin will be sentenced in about 8 weeks. The other 3 officers involved in George Floyd's fatal arrest are set to go to trial in August for aiding and abetting second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter charges. I also want to mention that Darnella Frazier, the teenager who captured that cell phone video that was so critical to this trial, posted her reaction to the verdict on her social media page saying, quote, Gayle, George Floyd, we did it. Justice has been served. Of course, her testimony very important as well.
Her testimony, her videotape, we were all very thankful to Darnella Frazier, because we would not be here if it was not for Darnella Frazier. But can we talk about sentencing for a second? Some of the charges carry up to 40 years, the second-degree charge. What does that really mean in terms of sentencing, about what he could actually get?
Well, it's interesting because under Minnesota sentencing guidelines, of course, the second-degree murder charge is 40 years. It drops, though, to 12.5 because he doesn't have any other prior convictions. However, there's upward sentencing departure is what prosecutors are going to ask the judge for, which could increase it, we're told. I talked to some attorneys last night who said he could get 30 years because he not only, in their mind, abused his authority, which they will argue, but also committed these crimes in front of minors. Of course, that's why the prosecution brought that 9-year-old up on the stand. Many people wondering, why would you put a 9-year-old through testimony? This specifically was probably the prosecutor's reason why, so that they could ask for more time.
I see. So is it clearly up to the judge?
It is. It's solely up to the judge, and that was the defendant's choice. That's Derek Chauvin's choice. He could have had the jury decide that, but it's now in the hands of Judge Peter Cahill.
And let's talk about the jury for a second, about the deliberations. Do you know who the jury foreman was and how that happened?
So we got the information. Of course, all the jurors filled out questionnaires before they became jurors. So juror number 19 was a 30-year-old white male, and apparently he was picked to be the foreman, and he's the one who then gave the verdict to the judge.
All right, Jamie, thank you.